Hello, hello, test is test. Hi, my name is William Fan apparently, and I'm going to be taking this course on Coursera titled The Science of Well-Being. I'm going to be taking this course because I told a friend I would. So, yeah, with that said, let's get started. So, in this course, you will engage a series of challenges designed to increase your happiness and build more productive habits. As preparation for these tasks, Professor Laurie Santos reveals misconceptions about happiness, annoying features of the mind that lead us to think that the way we do, and the research that can help us change. You will ultimately be prepared to successfully incorporate a specific wellness activity in your life. The Science of Well-Being was produced in part due to the generous funding of David F. Swenson for innovating and teaching. Let's take a look at who this is. Oh, well, that's recently. Um, all right, so what can we learn about this course? 10% of people start a new career after completing this course. 14% got a tangible career benefit from this course. It's 100% online. Certificate costs, I think it was $50. I'm opting for the free model. Um, Flexible deadline, I get it. Takes 19 hours to complete. So hopefully I'll complete it within 19 of these sessions. Looks like Laurie Santos is a top instructor here. And she only has one course. Well, it's interesting. All right, let's get started. All right, looks like it's divided into 10 weeks. So why don't I start creating my sections now? So I like to use OneNote for Windows, since OneNote is cross-platform. It's available on macOS, iOS, Android. I think there's even a Ubuntu version, and it's all free. So yeah, that's why I use it. No, 3, 4, 5, week 6, week 7, week 8, week 9, week 10. Yes, this is just the overview. This is okay. I guess I should set a goal. Learn 2 days a week. What about 5 days a week? How about that? Burp. We'll do that. And all right, let's get started. Intro.
Hello, and welcome to the Science of Happiness. I'm Professor Laurie Santos, a professor in psychology and cognitive science, and I'm excited that you're going to join me on this journey to learn a little bit about the science and also the practice of well-being. I started these lectures here in Silliman College, right here in my home, to introduce a small set of students to the science of psychology, and we thought that it might be so beneficial to Yale students, we wanted to bring it to a bigger group, and that's where you come in. You get a chance to watch these short lectures on the science of happiness, but also to think about how to develop these practices in your own life. We hope you enjoy it.
Water. Just copy that. Whoa, when I first developed this class, I had no idea it would become the most popular class ever taught at Yale University. The Yale class was featured in both the national and international news media and was flooded with requests from people around the world to find a way to share the content of this Yale class more broadly. This Coursera class is an attempt to do just that. My goal is to This is an interesting bit. I'm gonna copy that too. So, just in case I have to share it with someone else. Happiness Lab, huh? What is the Happiness Lab? Oh, it's podcasts. So I grab that and take a screenshot of this. Just that there. Work is completed. All right, let's go to the next video. Actually, before I do that, video become happier by learning and applying psychological science.
Well, welcome everybody to the science of well-being, what psychological science says about the good life. I'm going to kind of give a quick introduction to the stuff about the course, and then we'll get to our particular topic of today. But I kind of wanted to start because this is a bit of a strange adventure. I'm here sitting with about 25 of my students, most of the students in Silliman College, one of the residential colleges here at Yale, but a couple students who snuck in from other colleges, but we welcome you anyway. And I thought it's cool to kind of welcome you by noting that you are starting this kind of interesting new journey. And I mean new in a couple different senses. One is that this is kind of a new thing for Yale. Never before at Yale have they taught a course on the kind of science of psychology and sort of practice of how to be happy. So it's kind of new for Yale. It's sort of new for Yale's online courses. Unlike most of the online courses, we're sitting here in my living room chatting with you guys in this kind of comfy space. It's kind of a new way to think about how we teach people who aren't at Yale. And it's also a new journey for all of you. The hope is that this isn't going to be like an ordinary kind of class or lecture series for you. This is the kind of thing that we really hope can actually change your life in a real way, not just by teaching you new content and new information, but by really changing your habits. That's sort of the goal. So welcome to this new journey. If you're scared of the journey, or you don't want to be here, you can take off. They'll shut the cameras off and cut you out of it. So wait, you can go for that. Okay. But the new journey is kind of cool. The goal of the class is to do two separate things. One is a thing that's kind of typical of classes here at Yale, where we're going to teach you some content. We're going to teach you about the science of happiness, all these cool new findings that the field of psychology has. But the second part, which is a little bit different, which is the kind of journey part, is that we're not just going to do stuff on the science of happiness, we're going to think about the practice of happiness too. One of the things we're going to learn is just knowing about this information about what makes you happy isn't enough to actually make you happy. You actually have to put those things into practice. And the hope is that by being here as part of this course, you're kind of signing on to do that hard part too. You're not going to have homework in the way of readings or that kind of stuff, but you are going to have homework if you want this stuff to stick. So just kind of thinking about your habits and that stuff too. And in part because of that, we're really hoping, because I'm a scientist, not just to kind of give you this content, but I really kind of want to see if this works. The goal is to scale this up to a really large course at Yale. You guys are kind of the pilot program about this. And in part because of that, we really want to check whether or not this kind of approach of teaching you guys the science and sort of seeing if this practice goes together is actually going to work. And so one of your pieces of homework for tonight, if you guys are interested in doing so, is to actually help me measure whether or not this stuff is working. And we're going to do that by actually measuring your happiness levels. We're going to take that sometime this afternoon. That's going to be the before. And then at the end of this, we're going to do the after. Really, our goal is to make sure that what we're doing in this course is actually having this effect. And we're going to try to look at that. Okay, so what is the course about? Well, you're signed on for kind of 5 quick lectures here in my home. And we're going to go through a couple different topics. Today's topic is going to be about misconceptions about happiness, the things you think make you happy but don't actually. So be ready for kind of all of your misconceptions to be cleared up, which would be great. Next time, we're going to talk about why our expectations are so bad. Basically, I think what you'll see is many of the things we think are going to make us happy don't. And so why are we not accurate about the kinds of things that are going to make us happy? Why are we seeking out these things that aren't going to help us? Third, we're going to sort of jump to the stuff that actually really does increase happiness. And as is the case in a lot of BuzzFeed articles, the answer may surprise you. So weird. From there, we're going to kind of broaden to say, okay, if that's the stuff that's going to increase happiness, what are the strategies that we should be using? That's where we're going to get into more homework and more habits for you guys to engage in. And then the fifth thing is going to take this even broader, not just thinking about putting these strategies into practice for you yourself in terms of your own personal happiness, but how can you put these in practice more broadly? How can we use this stuff to help society or help Silliman or help things more broadly?
What did I capture from that? What's useful in all this? At least one thing. Cover this. I like this line. One of the things we're going to learn is just knowing about this information about what makes you happy isn't enough to actually make you happy. You actually have to put it in practice.
We're going to think about the practice of happiness too. One of the things we're going to learn is just knowing about this information about what makes you happy isn't enough to actually make you happy. You actually have to put those things into practice. And the hope is that by being here as part of this course, you're kind of signing on to do that hard part too.
Can I mark this complete?
To help society or help Silliman or help things more broadly.
Course exists.
Okay, so that's the set of topics, and we're going to start with this idea of misconceptions. But I thought, since this is the first of these lectures, it might be useful to kind of give an introduction of why I wanted to do this class, because I think that sort of shows off the point of why I think this is so important. Why teach this class now? Some of you know I teach a class here on campus that's a class on evolutionary psychology. I think some of you even took that class. And I didn't need to start teaching a new psychology class. In fact, it's a lot of work to come up with this stuff. I'm still working on the lectures. It takes a lot of time. But I decided to do this for a couple reasons, and I decided to do it now for a couple reasons. The first, and there's going to be 3 reasons why I decided to do this. The first of those 3 reasons is that this is the time that is ripe for thinking about applying the science of psychology, in part because we are learning a ton about how to apply these kind of concepts about how we can make ourselves happier. We actually have lots of insights into the kinds of things that make us happier, that make us laugh, that make our lives more fulfilling. And we know this in part because not only are scientists coming up with good ways to study this stuff, good ways to measure this stuff, but folks that really think about applying science to public policy, to practice, are using this stuff a ton. So these are a couple different articles about different programs in government, both in the UK and here in the States, to apply the science of psychology to kind of nudge people's behavior in the right directions, nudge people to save more, nudge people to eat healthier, and so on. And the amazing thing is that these programs, even when they're implemented in large government scales, actually seem to work amazingly well. There's tons of successes of applying this stuff to changing people's behavior in real time. So never before have we really had so many insights that I could actually teach you about. The kind of time is ripe to start applying this stuff in our own lives. So that's kind of reason number 1. Lots of insights there to teach you guys about. Second reason, though, is that we kind of really need these insights pretty badly, because the fact is that we're not as happy or as kind of increased in our well-being as we sort of need to be. I'll give you an article. This is from 2013 on ABC News. America's most unhappy people in the world.
That's what I'm going to capture here.
right? And this is 2013. This is before our divisive elections. This is a little bit before the kind of recession. Like, we're just kind of unhappy. Couple quick statistics. We prescribe antidepressants at 400 times the rate that we did 20 years ago. 400 times the rate 20 years ago. Most surveys show that Americans and a lot of people in general are not getting happier. And if you look at some subsets of the population, surveys like the Harris survey and so on have shown that certain groups are actually getting more unhappy. And one of those groups is recent graduates. Like, a lot of you guys are about to be soon. Like, getting more unhappy than they've ever been and more unhappy than they were before. So this is like not cool. Like, people kind of need this stuff. The upshot is like we're just a society of like kind of walk around like not being as happy as we could be, so we kind of need this. But I think one of the reasons I chose to teach this here, and then I'm talking to you guys and not only doing an online course, is the we is a kind of broad we that society at large, but I think the we here on campus is like even more needy, that like you Yale students need this stuff. And so that was reason number 2 I decided to teach this course now, is that you guys broadly as a society and you guys as Yale students really need this stuff. But the third reason is actually the most personal one of why I wanted to teach this, which is that it's not just Yale students that need these insights. I actually need these insights too. So I'm kind of like below average on my own happiness. So you might have the thought that like the professor teaching this course is like this like, smiley happy, and I go through life, and around all these Yale students who are sad. I'm like, oh no, it should make you guys as happy as I am. But in fact, that is not true. If anything, it's like, I'm sad too, but sometimes like.
This one. You're seeing well-being during the COVID-19 pandemic. Your well-being during COVID-19. We're living in an unprecedented time as COVID-19 impacts lives everywhere. As we navigate and adjust, how can we manage the many emotions we're feeling? Dr. Laurie Santos hosted a Facebook Live Q&A to help us all with that. Well, we're kind of past this, right? I mean, I'll skip through it. I'm not going to watch the entire thing. Cool. I think I understand. I'll capture this. Well, COVID-19.
This thought that because I know this stuff, should be good at it, and that's all we need to do. We need to kind of do these studies, and then we're going to be golden. That actually is going to be one of the first fallacies that we talk about in the context of this course. And it's a fallacy that's kind of near and dear to my heart because I invented it with my colleague Tamar Gendler, who's a philosopher here at Yale. But it's a fallacy known as the
Joe fallacy. Off cartoon. G.I. Joe. There's a saying after the show. And this is a fallacy.
Now you know how to do it. And G.I. Joe even has this kind of awesome like graphic if you Google on the internet. But the claim is that this actually isn't true. Merely knowing something is not enough to put into practice. Merely knowing something.
Guess that's important. Merely knowing something is not enough to put to practice. That is the idea.
Merely knowing something is not enough to actually change your behavior. And that's the G.I. Joe fallacy. And to get a sense of this, I wanted to kind of give you this little metaphor of a spot where you can see that knowing is not enough to really change how you actually think about it and how you actually behave. And to do that, we're going to use a bit of a metaphor. Sometimes seeing our own thought patterns aren't as easy as we think. And we're going to use the metaphor of vision, in part because we're used to seeing that our vision is off. We're used to seeing things like optical illusions and so on. Some of you may have seen this one before. It's the Mueller-Lyer illusion. How many have actually seen it before? Some folks, right? And so for the folks who maybe haven't seen it before, which of these two lines, the top one or the bottom one, looks longer? Or even if you know it, say which one to you looks like it's longer.
Same.
The bottom one, thank you. Well, if you've seen the image before, you know that in fact they're the same length. You know, you can take it away and do that. But this is the thing about knowing not being half the battle. You guys have learned about this in intro psych or on the internet and so on, but you can't teach your eyes not to see the bottom one as longer. Even though you know what the problem is, your eyes are still seeing it in the wrong way. Merely knowing it doesn't make it better. Here's an even more fun illusion, I think, which is one maybe some of you haven't seen, which is Shepard's tables after the vision scientist Roger Shepard. And here's the illusion. Which of the two tables is kind of longer in depth? The one on the left or the one on the right? Like, which of these two tables is kind of longer?
Obviously, the one on the left looks longer.
Other people think so too? All right, here's what we do with awesomeness, because I planned for this, is that we're going to measure it and see that your vision is wrong, right? You ready? So here is the one on the left. Put that there. Like basically, I'll do it right now. It's upside down. Hold on. We got this. Here we go. One on the left. And here we go. One on the right. This is where you go, whoa. Oh my goodness, right? And I actually invested in this construction paper. I did this whole demo, but now you know this, but you're going to look at it and you're going to see it exactly the same way. It doesn't change how your mind perceives it. I can teach you how the illusions work. I could teach you the vision science behind it, which I'm not going to do. It's still not going to change how you see it. And this is the part of the G.I. Joe fallacy, this idea that knowing is kind of half the battle. It's not. Like, we actually have to do all kinds of stuff other than just knowing stuff to change our behavior. If we really want to change our behavior, we have to change habits. We can't just learn stuff. And that is why your professor is kind of just as mopey and just as not good at this well-being. The hope is that we together, as a socially supported community, can put these habits into place, we can commit to them, and then we're all going to get better.
True or false? Knowing is half the battle. False.
Anyway, these are the three reasons why I wanted to teach this course and why I want to teach this course now. Now we'll get into the part about these kinds of misconceptions. Misconceptions in terms of what we think is going to make us happy, and also why it kind of doesn't. We'll focus more on why it doesn't next round.
There are no required readings. Okay. To officially pass this course and get a certificate, you must complete and pass all graded assignments. Okay, grading. Deadlines. Requirements. Signature restraints. One signature strengths. Week 2, savoring and gratitude journal. Week 3, kindness and social connection. Week 4, exercise and sleep. Week 5, meditation and gratitude visit. Week 6, it's a surprise. Week 7, challenge, part 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, cool. Work as complete. Go to the next item. Environment tracking. Mobile app. Okay, I'll do this now. Not gonna go to my phone, go to the App Store. And I'll look up pattern health. All right, it's asking for an invite code, so I guess I do need that. Or Sarah Beta. Okay, I will confirm that this invite code works. I did not have to fill out a registration form. Okay, handouts. You'll find requirement handouts in your requirement for the week readings that you can print out. Each sheet will have 7 empty circles for you to mark your progress over each week. Alright, let's grab this, save that, save it on my desktop, that's fine. Close that. PDF pages with notes attached. Okay, I'll save that too. Your own system. You can keep track of your own course requirements in any way that is convenient to you. Okay. Mark this complete. Go to the next item. Desktop. Or to PDF. Yeah. Additional. This right here. Paste that there. This week, we'll begin by assessing your current levels of subjective well-being before starting the class and learning a bit about your signature strengths. You will kick off the requirement by intentionally applying your signature strengths in your day-to-day life. Measure your baseline happiness. Your first assignment is to measure your current level of happiness using one or two validated psychological surveys. These scores will serve as a baseline of your happiness level at the start of the experience, and at the end of the course, probably going to measure it again, blah, blah. May choose any option or any combination of the options outlined below. First option. Of emotion. E is for engagement, R is for relationships, M is for meaning, and A is for accomplishments. Tech happiness inventory. There's 4 questions. overall happiness levels. Let's go right. 5. Or 5 app. Third option may be best suited for those who do not wish to take online surveys for various reasons. In that case, you can ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, self-test. So that's no tools. So scale to 5. How happy your life now? Rating for this question can act as your baseline happiness metric. All right. Let's see. Regardless of which option you choose, please keep track of the score and write it down somewhere you will remember for later. When you receive the score, you will likely want to compare it to others. My score, good or bad? It's us. Okay. Now about that. Dash new PDF. This week, why am I reading? I'm lazy. Can I get someone to read this for me?
This week you will also have an opportunity to identify your character strengths, which we'll learn more about in an upcoming lecture. Your character strengths are the positive parts of your personality that impact the way you think, feel and behave. To identify your strengths, take the free, online, research-based character strengths survey by the VIA Institute on Character. The survey comprises 96 questions and takes about 15 minutes to complete. There are no right/wrong answers, and there are no better/worse answers. The key is to be authentic, so that you can derive the most from the experience. After taking the survey, you will get the ranking of your 24 strengths. Print it out if you can and keep track of your top 5 strengths. Your top 5 strengths are typically your signature strengths, the characteristics that make you feel energized and engaged. Encourage your coworkers, friends, and family to go to the VIA website and discuss your strengths and how they contribute to your life and relationships. Research shows knowing and using your character strengths can strengthen relationships, boost happiness, and improve well-being. After taking the test, you will get the ranking of your 24 strengths. Make sure to document your top 5 strengths. Note, Laurie Santos and Yale University are not affiliated with the VIA website, but doing the survey on this website allows you to access the survey easily and for free, and it allows researchers to learn more about how character strengths work. Note on data collection, the VIA Institute on Character is
to go over that. I'm not sure my information. I'm not too worried about that, so I don't need to go over that. Use your signature strengths, okay? Let's please read this for me.
Use your signature strengths. To get you into the practice of doing intentional and effortful activities to boost your own happiness, we want you to try to use your top strengths this week. Each day for the following week, try to use your selected strength in a new way. For example, if curiosity is one of your strengths, enroll in another Coursera course on a topic you know nothing about. If kindness is your strength, perform an anonymous favor for someone, and so on. Try to use your strengths at least once per day all week long. Learn more about this exercise in this article. Use your strengths to boost happiness. You can find suggestions on ways to use each strength here as well as other strengths-based strategies to help you flourish here. You will learn more about how to use your strengths in an upcoming lecture and can read more by exploring the VIA website. Want to skip ahead in the course to learn more about the science behind character strengths? Watch lecture from week 5 titled Good Job. Explanation of character strengths appears within the first 13 minutes of the video. Rewirement handout. PDF file. 01_signature strengths. PDF file. Special offer for Science of Wellbeing course participants.
Is this, I have this already? Is this all garbled up? Alright, I guess what I need to do is I need to do this right here. So I'm guessing that is this. Okay, so please read.
The PERMA Profiler is a validated 23-question survey that measures 5 pillars of well-being known as PERMA: positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, accomplishment. While taking the survey, you will receive scores ranging from 0 to 10 for each pillar along with scores for overall well-being, health, and negative emotions. Your responses to this survey are entirely voluntary and will be stored anonymously and securely. Citation: Butler, J., and Kern, M.
Right. Link there. Screenshot of this, so an idea when I look back at it. Let's begin the survey. How much of the time do you feel you are making progress towards accomplishing your goals? I gotta be real with us. 2 or 3, maybe. How often do you become absorbed in what you are doing? I'm all over the place. I mean, I'm gonna go with a 5 on that. Sometimes I'll be really absorbed, and sometimes I'm just all over the place. In general, how often do you feel joyful? Well, not so much anymore. Put that as a 5. How often do you feel anxious? Never? Rarely? How often do you achieve the important goals you have set for yourself? I mean, am I setting goals? Am I really setting goals and writing it down? Or am I just having ideas of goals? For me, it's gonna be a 5. In general, how would you say your health is? I mean, I can argue depending on what perspective I want to look at it. It can either be a 10 or it can be, it's definitely not a 0 for sure, or it can be a 1. So, because if it was a 0, I wouldn't be doing this because I'd probably be dead by already. Like like it's either a 1 or a 10. I'm pretty happy, so 6. To what extent do you lead a purposeful and meaningful life? Purpose. What is my purpose in this world? Do I really serve a purpose? I mean, I am trying to help others when I can. random others when I feel like it, which I might be doing more often than I should, considering that I should be more focused on helping my own self. I'm gonna go with the 5. To what extent do you receive help and support from others when you need it? I always. I have much gratitude for the people who do invest their time in me. So I hope they know that I really appreciate it. So I'm gonna have to put a 10 here. To what extent do you feel that what you do in your life is valuable and worthwhile? To what extent do you feel excited and interested in things? Pretty balanced. How lonely do you feel in your daily life? It's born lonely. It's never lonely. I have lived alone for a very long time. For my age, 37, I'm actually very happy, but I could be happier. So I'm gonna put a 9. If I put a 10, that means I don't need to work out anymore, which, so that's that. How often do you feel positive? I'm pretty balanced. Pretty balanced. How often do you handle your responsibilities? What are my responsibilities? And what are my responsibilities? 5 in general. How often do you feel sad? Pretty balanced there. How often do you lose track of time while doing something you enjoy? I mean, what do I really enjoy? And the first thing that comes to mind is how I streamed in the past. I always keep track of like the time and how long I've been streaming to make sure that I don't overdo it. So I don't really lose track of time. But I could. In the past, I lost track of time, but not so much anymore. I think more now it's more about trying to find motivation. So I'm gonna put that as a 2, but in the past I would say, and not when I say past, it's the not so distant past. So I would be at a 7. Like 2 years ago, I'd be at a 7 or 8. Now I'm pretty much here. Compared to others of the same age and sex, how's your health? It's fucking excellent. To what extent do you feel loved? I mean, what's love? What is love? I don't even know what love is. And was I ever loved? I kind of wonder. Like, really have no idea what this means. I'm gonna put a 5. To what extent do you generally feel you have a sense of direction in your life? I always know where I want to go, but do I always have the motivation to go in that direction or to make progress? I'm gonna play out of 5. How satisfied are you with your personal relationships? 8, I guess. I mean, yeah, I don't always handle them perfectly, nor do I really care. It's gonna be around here. In general, to what extent do you feel contented? Am I content with what's going on in my life? It's gonna be a 5. I mean, who else? It depends on how I look at the situation. I mean, I can look at it at, is the glass half full or is it half empty? I'm at a 5. Five. All right, cool. Here is my score. Paste that there. Okay, how do I interpret this? Positive emotions 5. I guess it's out of 10. Engagement, yeah. Relationships, sure. Meaning, I have work to do here. Health, yep. Negative emotions, yep. Never lonely. Overall being, so pretty much in the middle. Alright, cool. I'll go back. Okay, and then I'm gonna do this authentic happiness inventory thing. That. So I remember what's going on here. Yeah, when I think about my life, I feel like a failure. I do not feel like a winner. I feel like I have succeeded more than most people. All I see are victories. I feel I am extraordinarily successful. Where's the number 5? Like, I am not extraordinarily successful because there are extraordinary people that I look up to. So I don't think I'm at their level, nor do I know their grays and things I don't see about them. All I see are victories. I mean, looking at things positively, that's how everyone should see everything. You shouldn't look at your losses. You should look at how many times you've been victorious. No. I think we're all the same, right? Some people succeed in certain topics over others. No one is like a king of everything. You can be a jack of all trades, but you can't be a king of all trades. How about this? My mood is usually it's a neutral mood. When I'm working, but what if I'm not working? So I guess I'm gonna have to remember how it felt like when I was working. Pay more attention to what's going on around me than to what I am doing. That's not true. Pay as much attention to what is going on around me as to as to what I am doing, okay? Pay more attention to what I'm doing than what is going on. I mean, it's a combination of these two. You can't be completely oblivious. I mean, do I know of any of these types? I'm trying to really think now. I don't think... Well, actually, I kind of have an idea of... Well, no, not really. This is rare right here. Pay so much attention to what I am doing that the outside world practically ceases to exist. I don't know. It's either 2, 3, or 5 in my past. But ideally, I would want to pay more attention to what I'm doing than what's going on around me. When I think about my life's purpose, I feel like I think I have a pretty good idea. But at the same time, I can argue that my life doesn't really have any purpose. But I know what I like. I don't know it that well, but I'm pretty sure I'm around this area. When I want things in life, I rarely get them. I get them sometimes. I always get them. And yeah, I pretty much always get them, one way or another. When I think about my own happiness, I feel like either 1 or 2. Well, obviously, if I'm like 3, 4, or 5, I probably wouldn't be taking this course. So either 1 or 2. How about that? Most of the time, I feel either bored or really too interested in what I'm doing. I usually feel cut off from other people. No, not really. Neither close to nor cut off from other people. Also, friends and family members close to most people, even if I do not know them well. Close to everyone in the world. With this, yeah, I do play kind words, and I understand empathy. So I'm just gonna go with this. By objective standards, I do poorly. Do neither well nor poorly. I rather do well. I do amazingly well by if I was able to just speak about who I am and where I came from, I've done a fucking amazing job. When I think about my self-image, I'm fucking proud of myself. Fuck yeah. I believe time passes. I've been on vacation as of this month. It's gonna be 3 years. I've been on vacation for 3 years. And time flies very quickly. I believe my existence may hurt the world in the grand scheme of things. Neither helps nor hurts the world. Well, it's gonna be this. Has a small impact. I know I did some work. It's gotta have at least a small impact, otherwise, what is the point in all of this? When I think of my achievements, I feel like I do not do most things well. I do okay at most things I am doing. I do fucking really well I'm doing. When I think about my motivation, I really don't have any. What is the point? When I consider my work life, I do not like my work, paid or unpaid. So this is what a person produces. I really like my work. It could be better. So I'm not gonna pick this. It could always be better. When I think about the future, I am neither optimistic or pessimistic. I've accomplished everyone has their own. Not everyone has the same goals. I don't think it's right to compare yourself with others, right? And it's also not right to not believe in yourself, so you shouldn't pick one. I'm just like any other person. When I think about my life, I am pretty neutral. My skills are never challenged by the situations I encountered. There's sometimes challenged. I spend all my time doing things that are new. What is important sometimes when you're playing video games to de-stress isn't that important to your well-being. I mean, where's the middle here? I think this is the middle. If I was keeping score in life, I would be even. I would be even. When I think about the pleasure and pain in my life, oh. There is a lot of pain in my life that's not mitigated. it hurts. When I think about my day, I like my daily routine, but I'm happy to get away from it. Overall, my life, it's a very good life. Why isn't it wonderful? It's a wonderful life, right? There is so much to appreciate around me. Like in front of me, the left and right of me. It's really wonderful. It's really wonderful. It's just... It's just hard to predict when I don't know, I haven't taken a path that I'm able to kind of find another person out there to relate with. Like I've never found someone who has the same or near same story as me. And I don't want to say that I'm special or anything. I actually want to find others. It's just I haven't found it. I haven't found that other person. I have mentioned my story to many of my personal friends, and I would say I am certain that none of my friends have ever, referred me to like a book or another person who has dealt with the same hand or a similar hand. It just hasn't happened yet, and it's not because of them. It's probably because I haven't looked enough. It's just that I'm looking in very strange places right now, and I'm not sure if, it's really like a needle in a haystack. Am I sure this is the right stack I'm looking at, or am I wasting my time? That's really what my life is about right now, but it's a really wonderful one. Oh, hey, first time chatter. Hey, Kazao. Thanks for stopping by. I am not sure when you popped in, but thanks. Alright, so what is my score? My score is a 3.21 out of 5, I guess. So let's take a screenshot of that. Finished. I'm done here. I'm done here. Yeah, I did 1 and number 2, and yes, I was able to do that. I don't think I need to get this Rewhy app. So I don't think I really need to do this because I already did 1 and 2. So I think I'm good here. I think I am good for. Okay. I'm gonna just grab this, put it in my notes. Right. Let's go to the next item. How long is week 1? Okay, I think I have 2 more sections and a review, probably a quiz, so I can probably finish that tonight. Nice, nice. Okay, so let's move on. Wait, what? What is this? Is this something that? It's because this plugin kind of messes it up, or what's up? Okay. Or is it ad blocker? Yep, it's ad blocker. Oh, okay. So I already did this. That was this. Go to the next item. I already did that. That was this. Mark as complete. Okay, I'll take the survey. I'm a male. I am. I'm on vacation and I'm not looking to come back into the IT career field, is what I want to say. I'm a student. How about that? But then I'm not really a student. I'm not really enrolled in like a university or anything. So what am I? I'm retired. Am I a homemaker? I'm pretty much a homemaker here. I literally, this makes the most sense. I have completed some college. This is not my first Coursera course. What is the most important thing? I think what's most important is a way to establish metrics. So this has to be good, and so far I believe it is. High quality videos, not really. Last place. I mean, depending on the type of learner you are, this could go anywhere between here, but for me, I don't really care for this. I mean, yeah, I never relied on this to get to where I wanted to be. I think I think an engaging professor or mentor is more important than, because this person has to drive all of this, right? But then if you're self-motivated, then yes, this would be more important. But I like to believe that that the mentor is more important than the resources. I need to turn on Dark Reader again. Which option most accurately reflects your intended course experience? I plan to complete this course. How much time per week do you plan on devoting on this course? How about 4+ hours? What days of the week? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Why did you decide to enroll in this course? A friend shared a link to this course, and I told her I would take it. What do you want or expect to know after taking this course? I have no expectations. It's mostly because I've gone through several books and online and other online courses throughout these past 3 years that may cover a lot. That may have covered much of the content that is provided in this course. Are you taking this course alone or with others? I am taking it alone. Okay, mark as completed. References and notes. Okay. Not required or expected to read the full books, excerpts, papers, or articles linked below. You'll be able to answer quiz questions, respond to discussion prompts, and complete the peer review assignment based on the lecture alone. Okay, so just gonna copy these down so I can maybe go over it later, I guess.
Our decisions are constantly shaped by subtle changes in our environment. Even choices that feel deliberate and conscious can be swayed by cues that we may not even notice, such as social norms or the setting of a default option. Behavioral scientists use the phrase choice architecture to describe the ways in which the environment influences how we decide. In the past 5 years, several governments have begun to guide people toward making better choices for themselves and for society by using behavioral science research. Scientists refer to choice architecture interventions that push people toward a certain outcome as nudges. Since 2010, for instance, the UK's Behavioural Insights Team, or Nudge Unit, has dramatically improved on-time tax payments simply by telling people about the large number of citizens who paid their taxes on time. The team has collected an estimated £210 million in revenue. Recently, the World Bank issued an extensive report that highlighted similar behavioral science initiatives around the world, and President Barack Obama has launched a new behavioral unit, which is modeled after the UK's version. Despite ample evidence showcasing the benefits of such nudges, commentators from both sides of the political spectrum have labeled them unethical. They emphasize that manipulating choice undermines our ability to choose freely, even when nudges are disclosed or implemented with good intentions. As a result, nudge initiatives to improve education, health, and safety are encountering increased resistance. Advocates of choice architecture interventions, such as Cass Sunstein, a leading constitutional scholar and author of several books on nudging, point out that nudges do not force anyone to do anything. They merely reorient decisions, much as a GPS guides, but does not forcefully direct travelers. Yet this defense is insufficient. Although it is true that nudges do not eliminate our freedom to choose, critics are correct to argue that nudges can strongly and sometimes surreptitiously influence our behavior. A stronger defense must begin by acknowledging that nudging is unavoidable. From traffic lanes to the size of the popcorn bucket at the movie theater, we are continuously nudged, intentionally or not, by the government, private companies, and other people. The question, then, is not whether government has the right to nudge, invariably and inevitably, it does, but whether government should redesign the choice architecture to help citizens achieve their goals. A growing body of psychological and economic research is revealing opportunities where government can use the tools of behavioral science to help people make better choices. The findings suggest that when the choice environment significantly undermines the health and financial well-being of citizens, the government has not only the right but the obligation to improve the choice environment. The science of swaying...
I get it. Ways to learn more. Okay. Oh, I'm on week 2. There is I guess there's no quiz. There's no exam for week 1, so Why don't I just close this session off with watching this TED Talk from 2004? What? Alright, let me turn off iTunes and give this my full attention. TED Talk.
When I was president of the American Psychological Association, they tried to media train me. And an encounter I had with CNN summarizes what I'm going to be talking about today, which is the 11th reason to be optimistic. The editor of Discover told us 10 of them. I'm going to give you the 11th. So they came to me, CNN, and they said, Professor Seligman, would you tell us about the state of psychology today? We'd like to interview you about that. And I said, great. He said, but this is CNN, so you only get a sound bite. So, well, how many words do I get? I said, well, one. Cameras rolled, and she said, Professor Seligman, what is the state of psychology today? Good. Cut. That won't do. We'd really better give you a longer sound bite. Well, how many words do I get this time? Well, you get 2. Dr. Seligman.
All right, let's read this transcript.
Enough. And by parallel summary, I want to say the same thing about technology, about entertainment and design, because I think the issues are very similar. 02:05. So, why was psychology good? Well, for more than 60 years, psychology worked within the disease model. 10 years ago, when I was on an airplane and I introduced myself to my seatmate and told them what I did, they'd move away from me, because, quite rightly, they were saying psychology is about finding what's wrong with you. Spot the loony. And now, when I tell people what I do, they move toward me. 02:32. What was good about psychology, about the $30 billion investment Nim made, about working in the disease model, about what you mean by psychology, is that 60 years ago, none of the disorders were treatable. It was entirely smoke and mirrors. And now, 14 of the disorders are treatable, 2 of them actually curable. 02:55. And the other thing that happened is that a science developed, a science of mental illness. We found out we could take fuzzy concepts like depression, alcoholism, and measure them with rigor. That we could
No, it's me. Alcoholism.
People, for example, who were genetically vulnerable to schizophrenia, what the contribution of mothering, of genetics are, and we could isolate their variables by doing experiments on the mental illnesses. 03:39. And best of all, we were able, in the last 50 years, to invent drug treatments and psychological treatments. And then we were able to test them rigorously, in random assignment, placebo-controlled designs, throw out the things that didn't work, keep the things that actively did. 03:58. The conclusion of that is, psychology and psychiatry of the last 60 years can actually claim that we can make miserable people less miserable. And I think that's terrific. I'm proud of it. But what was not good, the consequences of that, were 3 things. 04:22. The first was moral, that psychologists and psychiatrists became victimologists, pathologizers, that our view of human nature was that if you were in trouble, bricks fell on you. And we forgot that people made choices and decisions. We forgot responsibility. That was the first cost. 04:41. The second cost was that we forgot about you people. We forgot about improving normal lives. We forgot about a mission to make relatively untroubled people happier, more fulfilled, more productive. And genius, high talent, became a dirty word. No one works on that. 05:03. And the third problem about the disease model is, in our rush to do something about people in trouble, in our rush to do something about repairing damage, it never occurred to us to develop interventions to make people happier, positive interventions. 05:22. So that was not good. And so that's what led people like Nancy Etkoff, Dan Gilbert, Mike Csikszentmihalyi, and myself to work in something I call positive psychology, which has 3 aims. The first is that psychology should be just as concerned with human strength as it is with weakness. It should be just as concerned with building strength as with repairing damage. It should be interested in the best things in life. And it should be just as concerned with making the lives of normal people fulfilling, and with genius, with nurturing high talent. 06:04. So, in the last 10 years and the hope for the future, we've seen the beginnings of a science of positive psychology, a science of what makes life worth living. It turns out that we can measure different forms of happiness. And any of you, for free, can go to that website. 06:22. www.authentichappiness.org. 06:24. And take the entire panoply of tests of happiness. You can ask, how do you stack up for positive emotion, for meaning, for flow, against literally tens of thousands of other people? We created the opposite of the diagnostic manual of the insanities, a classification of the strengths and virtues that looks at the sex ratio, how they're defined, how to diagnose them, what builds them, and what gets in their way. We found that we could discover the causation of the positive states, the relationship between left hemispheric activity and right hemispheric activity, as a cause of happiness. 07:08. I've spent my life working on extremely miserable people, and I've asked the question, how do extremely miserable people differ from the rest of you? And starting about 6 years ago, we asked about extremely happy people. How do they differ from the rest of us? It turns out there's one way. Very surprising, they're not more religious, they're not in better shape, they don't have more money, they're not better looking, they don't have more good events and fewer bad events. The one way in which they differ, they're extremely social. They don't sit in seminars on Saturday morning. 07:43. Laughter. 07:47. They don't spend time alone. Each of them is in a romantic relationship, and each has a rich repertoire of friends. 07:54. But watch out here, this is merely correlational data, not causal, and it's about happiness in the first, Hollywood sense. I'm going to talk about happiness of ebullience and giggling and good cheer. And I'm going to suggest to you that's not nearly enough, in just a moment. We found we could begin to look at interventions over the centuries, from the Buddha to Tony Robbins. About 120 interventions have been proposed that allegedly make people happy. And we find that we've been able to manualize many of them, and we actually carry out random assignment efficacy and effectiveness studies. That is, which ones actually make people lastingly happier. In a couple of minutes, I'll tell you about some of those results. 08:42, but the upshot of this is that the mission I want psychology to have, in addition to its mission of curing the mentally ill, and in addition to its mission of making miserable people less miserable, is, can psychology actually make people happier? And to ask that question, happy is not a word I use very much. We've had to break it down into what I think is askable about happy. And I believe there are three different, I call them different because different interventions build them. It's possible to have one rather than the other three different happy lives. The first happy life is the pleasant life. This is a life in which you have as much positive emotion as you possibly can, and the skills to amplify it. The second is a life of engagement, a life in your work, your parenting, your love, your leisure, time stops for you. That's what Aristotle was talking about. And third, the meaningful life. I want to say a little bit about each of those lives. And what we know about them.
Nani? Why did it stop?
The first life is the pleasant
First life is the pleasant life, and it's
the first life is the
pleasant life, and it's simply
the first life is the pleasant
and life, and it's simply, as best we can find it, it's having as many of the pleasures as you can, as much positive emotion as you can, and learning the skills savoring, mindfulness that amplify them, that stretch them over time and space. But the pleasant life has three drawbacks, and it's why positive psychology is not happyology, and why it doesn't end here. 10:18 The first drawback is, it turns out the pleasant life, your experience of positive emotion, is about 50% heritable, and, in fact, not very modifiable. So the different tricks that Matthew and I and others know about increasing the amount of positive emotion in your life are 15 to 20% tricks, getting more of it. Second is that positive emotion habituates. It habituates rapidly, indeed. It's all like French vanilla ice cream. The first taste is 100%. By the time you're down to the sixth taste, it's gone.
Diminishing return.
Particularly malleable. 11:08, and this leads to the second life. I have to tell you about my friend Len, to talk about why positive psychology is more than positive emotion, more than building pleasure. In two of the three great arenas of life, by the time Len was 30, Len was enormously successful. The first arena was work. By the time he was 20, he was an options trader. By the time he was 25, he was a multimillionaire and the head of an options trading company. Second, in play, he's a national champion bridge player. But in the third great arena of life, love, Len is an abysmal failure. And the reason he was that Len is a cold fish. 11:58 Len is an introvert. American women said to Len, when he dated them, you're no fun. You don't have positive emotion. Get lost. And Len was wealthy enough to be able to afford a Park Avenue psychoanalyst, who for 5 years tried to find the sexual trauma that had somehow locked positive emotion inside of him. But it turned out there wasn't any sexual trauma. It turned out that Len grew up in Long Island and he played football and watched football and played bridge. Len is in the bottom 5% of what we call positive affectivities. 12:42 The question is Len unhappy? And I want to say, not. Contrary to what psychology told us about the bottom 50% of the human race in positive affectivity, I think Len is one of the happiest people I know. He's not consigned to the hell of unhappiness, and that's because Len, like most of you, is enormously capable of flow. When he walks onto the floor of the American Exchange at 9:30 in the morning, time stops for him. And it stops till the closing bell. When the first card is played till 10 days later, when the tournament is over, time stops for Len. 13:19, and this is indeed what Mike Csikszentmihalyi has been talking about flow. And it's distinct from pleasure in a very important way. Pleasure has raw feel, you know what's happening, it's thought and feeling. But what Mike told you yesterday during flow, you can't feel anything. You're one with the music. Time stops. You have intense concentration. And this is indeed the characteristic of what we think of as the good life. And we think there's a recipe for it, and it's knowing what your highest strengths are again. There's a valid test of what your 5 highest strengths are, and then recrafting your life to use them as much as you possibly can. Recrafting your work, your love, your play, your friendship, your parenting. 14:14, just one example. One person I worked with was a bagger at Jen Wardy's. Hated the job. She's working her way through college. Her highest strength was social intelligence. So she recrafted bagging to make the encounter with her the social highlight of every customer's day. Now, obviously she failed. But what she did was to take her highest strengths and recraft work to use them as much as possible. What you get out of that is not smiliness. You don't look like Debbie Reynolds. You don't giggle a lot. What you get is more absorption. 14:54 So, that's the second path. The first path, positive emotion. The second path is eudaimonian flow. And the third path is meaning. This is the most venerable of the happinesses, traditionally. And meaning, in this view, consists of very parallel to eudaimonia. It consists of knowing what your highest strengths are, and using them to belong to and in the service of something larger than you are. 15:26 I mentioned that for all three kinds of lives, the pleasant life, the good life, the meaningful life, people are now hard at work on the question, are there things that lastingly change those lives? And the answer seems to be yes. And I'll just give you some samples of it. It's being done in a rigorous manner. It's being done in the same way that we test drugs to see what really works. So we do random assignment, placebo-controlled, long-term studies of different interventions. Just to sample the kind of interventions that we find have an effect, when we teach people about the pleasant life, how to have more pleasure in your life, one of your assignments is to take the mindfulness skills, the savoring skills, and you're assigned to design a beautiful day. Next Saturday, set a day aside, design yourself a beautiful day, and use savoring and mindfulness to enhance those pleasures. And we can show in that way that the pleasant life is enhanced. 16:37 Gratitude visit. I want you all to do this with me now, if you would. Close your eyes. I'd like you to remember someone who did something enormously important that changed your life in a good direction, and who you never properly thanked. The person has to be alive. Now, okay, you can open your eyes. I hope all of you have such a person. Your assignment, when you're learning the gratitude visit, is to write a 300-word testimonial to that person. Call them on the phone in Phoenix, ask if you can visit, don't tell them why. Show up at their door, you read the testimonial, everyone weeps when this happens. And what happens is, when we test people 1 week later, a month later, 3 months later, they're both happier and less depressed. 17:39 Another example is a strength state, in which we get couples to identify their highest strengths on the strengths test, and then to design an evening in which they both use their strengths.
Whoa, okay.
The 11th reason
On for optimism, in addition to the space elevator, is that I think with technology, entertainment, and design, we can actually increase the amount of tonnage of human happiness on the planet. And if technology can, in the next decade or two, increase the pleasant life, the good life, and the meaningful life, it will be good enough. If entertainment can be diverted to also increase positive emotion, meaning eudaimonia, it will be good enough. And if design can increase positive emotion, eudaimonia, and flow and meaning, what we're all doing together will become good enough. 23:15 Thank you. 23:16
What is eudaimonia? is what I'm.
Meaning, eudaimonia, it will be good enough, and its design can increase positive emotion, eudaimonia and flow, and meaning. What we're all doing together.
This is what.
Good enough.
Okay. That's what I'm gonna capture. All right, I'm done with week 1. I think. Let's see. I've streamed for an hour and 25 minutes. I think this is a good stopping point.